If you're ready to pig out on a meaty pantry staple, then make sure you avoid the common mistakes when cooking, preparing, and storing canned ham. When you first open a can of ham, it's impossible not to see the glossy gelatin that surrounds the meat and pools at the edges. This jiggly substance typically ranges in color from pale yellow to amber. It's there to cushion the ham during handling and shipping, ensuring that it retains its quality and shape. The gelatinous layer in canned ham is produced with dry gelatin. The ham is then cooked inside the can with steam, at which point the dry gelatin blends with the ham juices. As the meat cools, the can is vacuum sealed and the gelatin sets. Since the gelatin has a mildly salty flavor and a jelly-like texture, it's best to remove it before eating the ham, unless of course you enjoy the added flavor and texture. The best way to remove it is by draining the can of any liquids and gently scraping off the jelly with a knife. And if you really hate the flavor and consistency of the gelatin, you can also rinse the ham with water before eating it. There are generally two different types of canned ham. You're probably already familiar with the shelf-stable variety, which can be stored in the pantry for up to 5 years. It's processed in a way that kills any bacteria that could grow at room temperature. Even so, storing it above 122 degrees Fahrenheit can result in spoilage. The second type of canned ham has to be refrigerated since it's not sterilized during the canning process. This variety can be kept in the refrigerator for up to 9 months. And there are some brands that are better than others. Hormel smoked ham is definitely a top choice thanks to its exceptional flavor. In fact, if you served it on a charcuterie board, your guests probably wouldn't be able to tell that it was canned. Another top choice is Butterfield Farms diced ham, which boasts a delightful smoked flavor. On the other end of the spectrum is Bristol Hickory smoked ham, which is bland and spongy in texture. Also disappointing is Iberia boneless and skinless cooked ham, which suffers from a lack of flavor and a strange smell.
Ah, what is that smell?
While shelf-stable canned ham typically comes with a best-by date on the packaging, there's generally no reason to freeze it, so long as the tin hasn't been opened. This is because canned ham can be eaten past its use-by date, as long as the tin isn't damaged. Since the food is sterile and sealed under a vacuum, it won't begin to spoil until the can is opened. Nevertheless, it may deteriorate in quality over time. Also, it's worth noting that freezing ham in the can may damage the tin since food expands when frozen, which could lead to spoilage. If you've opened a can and won't be able to eat it within the next few days, it's best to freeze it for later use. Be sure to transfer it to a freezer bag, plastic wrap, or freezer paper before leaving it in the freezer. It should be marked with the freezing date and tightly wrapped to keep it as moist as possible. Ham can be frozen for 1 to 2 months. While freezing doesn't detract from the nutritional value, it's likely to affect the flavor and texture, so it's best to freeze ham when it's at its freshest. While shelf-stable canned ham can be stored at room temperature for between 2 and 5 years, that duration is drastically reduced as soon as the can is opened. Furthermore, once opened, it must be kept in the refrigerator. If stored properly at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, it should remain safe to eat for 3 to 4 days. Meanwhile, unopened canned ham with a "keep refrigerated" label shouldn't be kept in the fridge for longer than 6 to 9 months. But if the tin happens to be dented or rusted, throw it away since there's a risk that it's been contaminated with bacteria. Storing an opened can of ham in the refrigerator isn't the best idea, but if you're not able to finish it in one meal, you can safely keep it in the fridge for 3 to 4 days. But if you do so, it's best to transfer the meat to a plastic or glass storage container. This will ensure that it's safe to eat and also preserve its flavor and quality. Furthermore, never let canned ham that's been removed from the packaging sit outside the fridge for more than 2 hours. Canned ham certainly shines when it's part of a sandwich, but this versatile meat can also be used in a huge variety of dishes.
Ham sandwich.
Perhaps the easiest way to prepare canned ham is by slicing it and frying it in a skillet like bacon. This will imbue a slightly crispy exterior, making it a perfect addition to morning eggs and toast. Alternatively, you can chop it into cubes and add it to hearty casseroles, hashes, and soups. While canned ham has a slightly different flavor and texture than fresh ham at the deli, it can still be used as a replacement in most recipes that usually call for fresh ham. Canned ham can even be glazed and baked if you want to go in that direction. All you need to pull it off are stone ground mustard, honey, ground cloves, chopped parsley, and a little salt to taste. Another ham-based dish that requires few ingredients is deviled ham salad. Simply blend chopped up ham, celery, yellow onion, and dill pickles in a food processor. Next, combine the mixture with mayonnaise, salt, and pepper. This yummy concoction tastes when best spread over toast or as a dip on crackers. Since canned ham is mild and slightly salty, it can benefit from some additional depth of flavor. With that in mind, condiments can provide a welcome contrast to the meat's dense texture. If you're baking in the oven, coat it in a glaze made with honey, brown sugar, and spices. Alternatively, replace the honey with pineapple juice. The glaze will caramelize while baking, imbuing the ham with a sweet and tangy flavor. Any canned ham dish can also be served with sauces on the side. One of the best ways to add a little zing is by pairing it with honey mustard. Despite its name, this particular spread doesn't always require mustard. One recipe calls for honey, mayonnaise, Worcestershire sauce, garlic powder, paprika, and a little salt. To complete this culinary picture, top the ham with fresh herbs like thyme or parsley. Perhaps you've spent your whole life confusing canned ham with another similar product, but be careful. While Spam and canned ham are both pork pantry staples that come in a tin, they shouldn't be confused as one and the same. Canned ham is traditionally packed in pear-shaped cans and made from several pieces of ham compressed into a solid chunk of meat. The bigger the can, the greater the chance that it contains a single piece of ham. In contrast, Spam is made from ground ham and pork, which are then pressed together inside a can.
I'll have your Spam. I love it.
According to Hormel Foods' website, the company produced the first canned ham in 1926. The flavor-sealed ham was advertised as retaining all those natural flavors and savory juices, which escape in water and steam by the usual cooking methods. Spam, on the other hand, was unveiled in 1937. One story goes that it was named after the combination of the first two letters of spice and the last two letters of ham, but its actual etymology is notoriously unknown. It really came into the spotlight during World War II when 100 million pounds of the jelly-laden meat were sent to the front lines to feed the troops. And in case you're wondering, the original variety of Spam doesn't contain any spices. While ham is traditionally baked in the oven, it can also be prepared in an air fryer or a crock pot. Just like fresh ham, the canned variety adapts well to these alternative methods. An air fryer cooks by circulating hot air around the food, giving it a crispy exterior without the need for excess oil. This method can then make canned ham crisp on the outside while keeping it moist on the inside. Just like its name suggests, a slow cooker cooks food over several hours on low heat. This lets the flavors meld together, resulting in a juicy and flavorful dish. To make the most out of this method, coat the meat in a mixture of honey, brown sugar, Dijon mustard, ground cloves, and ground cinnamon. Once that's all in the crock pot, carefully pour pineapple juice around the edges of the ham to ensure that it doesn't wash off the glaze. Then cook the ham for between 4 and 6 hours, basting it occasionally in the juices from the bottom of the slow cooker. Canned ham may not be as nutritious as fruits and vegetables, but it's not quite as unhealthy as you might think. This might be because the processed protein is made with simple ingredients, including salt, water, and preservatives. On the positive side, it's a decent source of protein, with 9 grams in each 56-gram serving. It also contains no sugar and is low in calories and fat. When eaten in moderation and combined with nutrient-rich side dishes like vegetables or whole grains, canned ham can be a part of a balanced diet. However, it's important to keep things in moderation. The biggest nutritional problem with canned ham is its high sodium content, as one serving contains 620 milligrams, which works out to 27% of the typical recommended daily allowance.
I need salt! I need salt!
Consuming too much sodium can raise blood pressure and contribute to heart problems. So if you need to add any extra flavor to your ham after you're done cooking it, definitely don't reach for the salt shaker.